Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. A customer came to us who restores old Bedford lorries, and they've got a three-quarter scale version of a Bedford lorry being built at the moment. All the cabin, everything's been coach built, but they haven't found anyone to do the fenders. So, lovely old chap found us, came and saw us, and he's had a wooden buck made, which is nice and easy, so it saves us a lot of time. And yeah, so I've just got to fabricate some out of aluminium or steel. I've chosen to go with steel. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this in 3 pieces. So I've got the flange side, which is going to bolt to the body, the top, which is relatively flat, and then the edges have got a nice radius, and then this side would be the outer arch with detail and maybe a nice rolled lip. Right, I've just ran the steel through the roller, got it cut to size in the guillotine, just ran it through the rollers just to get it to a more relaxed shape of the buck itself, and of course a bit of leg action, and then I'm using my nice little flexible rule to mark my radius start point. Now this isn't going to go through the English wheel or planishing hammer or anything like that, because the top needs to stay as straight as possible. So the way I'm going to tip this over the edge here would be to, at my radius point, run it through the shrinker, which will pull the metal in on the edge and basically pull that round. And then I'll finish off dressing that with a hammer and dolly. So we've got 2 of these machines. These are foot operated shrinker stretchers. They're okay for a capacity of up to 1.2 mil thickness, maybe a bit thicker of aluminium, but anything past that is kind of pushing the boundaries of what they can actually do. Yeah, we've got 2 because they're a nice affordable bit of kit from Met's Tooling. The jaws are okay for the price range of them. One of them's got the stretching jaws and one's got the shrinking jaws. So I'll start shrinking this now. What I'll do is I'll start further in on my radius point, and then I'll do one run, come out a little bit further and do another run, right up in the buck, and see how it looks. Right, I've now run this panel about 3 or 4 times through the shrink now on both sides, so it's fairly uniformed. I've made sure not to creep inside my inner radius line, so I don't want to deform the top of the panel at all, because it will just cause me more work. What the shrink does is it's got teeth in it and they pull together, so it grabs the material, and as you go down on the lever, it pulls the material together, so effectively it gives you less there, hence pulling in. What you want to do is keep repeating the process until it's quite relaxed to the shape you want it. I've also found a dolly, or made a dolly to the same radius of this, what I need here, so then I can finish these edges off with a planishing hammer. Well, actually, I'm going to trial our new Ox planishing hammer, so it's a pneumatic handheld planishing hammer, so it shaves down the time drastically. So you get to witness me debuting that for the first time. Right, this is about as far as I want to go with the shrinker. It's at a lovely shape now, so it's the right shape to the buck, quite relaxed. It's actually a little bit tight, which is good, because as I start to dress this round, it will stretch out a little bit more, which will relax it, which means it will be perfect fit. Hopefully, that's how it's going to work. So now we'll trial the Ox planishing hammer. Schoolboy error.
Great sound.
That is insanely loud. So what I'm doing is I'm basically hitting on dolly with that, just to planish out the shrink marks and smooth up the radius altogether. That thing's powerful, and you can adjust the settings a little bit harsh at the moment, but I don't know if you can really see that on camera. Yeah. Okay, so what I've decided to do is revert back to the wooden buck and dress it over this, because it doesn't need a whole amount of walloping, and with the steel stake it's actually putting a little bit too much stretch on the top, which is not what I wanted to do. So these are available only in the States, as far as I'm aware, from a company called Coach Smithing, I like to think. Coach Smithing, yeah, something like that, on Instagram. Anyways, if anyone's interested, I've got the link. That's bright. Stretched out a bit more again now, so I'm going to have to do a tiny bit more shrinking. Just need to just figure out where you want to do it. So mine seems to be rocking about this point here, so I think I need a bit more shrinking here. Fuck off. So I've done a pretty basic cardboard template. So I've got my reference lines where I'm going to match up to finish off the bottoms of the fenders, and it kind of goes in somewhere like that when it's sat down. It fits in there quite nicely. So what I'll do is transfer that onto steel. Both my pieces cut now. Always put a reference mark on your panel. So if you've got to do any trimming or amendments, then you're always putting it back in the same place. So that's both sides done now, both exactly the same size, mirroring each other. So when I weld them in, it's going to stay the same shape. And it's going to be TIG welding this. I'm going to pre-tack it every couple of inches, then go in between, and then in between again. So you've got kind of half-inch gap between your tacks, and then I'm going to fully TIG weld it all in one go. So I'm all set up, ready to get this welded now. I've got the ASAB Rogue TIG welder, and I'm going to run about 45 amps with a bit of MIG wire as well. MIG wire, a bit of mild steel wire. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack it in the middle and work my way out both sides. If you tack both sides and then work your way to the middle, then you end up with all the excess, which is pulled into the middle, and you have like excess material you can't really get rid of. So work from the middle, work your way out, and then it moves any excess outwards, and get it all tacked, planish it up, file it back, and then blitz it. When tacking it, you always want to run a bit hotter on tacking, so you get it fast, get your penetration in straight away, and get it diffused pretty quickly. It's all looking pretty good. Right, so I got a bit ahead of myself. The camera ran out of battery, so I just carried on going anyways. So this side's been fully welded and just quickly filed back and planished. This face here, I've ran it through the shrinker just to pull the face flat again. So as you weld it and then planish it and dress it, then it will tend to, the steel would want to come out like this. So shrink along the edge again, bring it back down. Of course, I'm using 1 mil, so I can hammer and then sand the worst of these forming marks out. That's the inside mounting panel. Right. This is going to be the arch lip. So, like you see, put various tacks on there, put it together, and now I shall hammer and dolly that just to planish those welds flat and make sure the edge is nice and consistent all the way along, and then I'll go and fully weld the bastard. All planished now, ready to weld. Right, there we go, fully TIG welded, start to finish, one sweep, done. You can see there's no major distortion or anything like that, and you can see how even the heat pattern is the whole way along as well. You tend to really suffer from distortion if you've got varying heat patterns in your weld, so it's really inconsistent. If you've got gaps and you're putting more material into other places, that's when you suffer more with distortion. This, I've got a little blowhole there, so you'll probably find it might be a bit ripply there, but I reckon I'll be able to give that a quick dress with a hammer, file it back, and it'll be pretty sound. I'm going to use the Ox Planishing hammer again, just to run over this top bit here. See, that's been welded for, finished that about 5 minutes ago, and it's cool to touch already. And as I planish that, this wheel starts to pull out. That's what we want. Bring that radius back out really nice. Pulling that out, doing exactly what I want it to do. This is a really, really good bit of kit, and it's saving me a lot of time. Not even being harsh on it as well, just kind of just gliding over the panel. It's almost like finding the highs and helping just to massage them out. It's feeling really good. Radius is looking really nice. Right, that's just a quick spin over with a roll up for about 2 minutes. What you can do is just take the head of the weld off. If you find you're taking too much of the material, then you need to keep planishing your welds. The trick when you're sanding, I mean this is a 60, so it's quite harsh on the roll up. What you can do is you keep moving it and basically gliding it across the panel. You don't want to be digging in, get like this, because you end up with loads of ripples which you cannot get rid of. So. Right, I've used Dicom Engineer's Blue. This is great. We use it for panel work quite a lot. It's good for putting on the panel, blocking down if you want to find your highs and lows, or for scribing onto steel, metal, your reference lines. So I've blued it up and then I've scribed my reference line there. That's going to be my arch lip, and that's what I'm going to use as a guide to run through the tip and wheel and the bead roller. But I'm going to cut it. I've then marked another line with pen, so it's about 10 mil, so it's going to give me 10 mil extra material, which is going to be my cut line, because obviously that's going to be my excess material for rolling over to give it a wide edge. So I've got my dies set up. I can't get the my knife edge in there because I've not got enough room. So the idea is just to put it on my scribe line and put a bit of force in it, tilting it down to break the edge back a bit. I've already run through the past once, but you want to run through like 2 or 3 times already. Just tighten it down a little bit more each time, just so it doesn't distort and pull the metal too much in one hit, otherwise you're going to have issues. So get started, put your pressure on, and then the rest of this is just going to be a hammer and dolly exercise, because I cannot tip this over enough. I'm going to use this dolly. This is called a dolly of some description. And this, my old trusty, this is an old Jador panel beating hammer. And it's a beauty. It's got really, really good weight to this. So it's good if you want to move material quickly. Also as well, the little face, it's great for doing little rolled arch lips and stuff like that. It's slightly convex, so put down a soft pad so I don't destroy the face of the panel. Again, doing something like this, you want to start from one end and work your way through, not keep changing places and stuff like that. It's going to make the material distort and go all sorts of crazy. Right. The idea is to put the knife edge part of the dolly on my brake line, which I've done in the tip and dies. Just keep hammering that over, and again, I'm probably gonna do this in probably 10 passes or so. So it's gonna be extremely boring and loud for me. I'll speed things up for you so it's not as dull. It all comes down to my sloth-like precision in using my little hammer just to carefully dress over the edge, just to give it a nice rolled edge. You've got to be careful not to hit it too hard, or else you'll have flat spots, and you want a really, really nice, consistent radius on your arch lip. As you can see the edge started to come over. Right. So I've got my hammer, and what I'm doing is I'm hitting down on the top of this, but carefully as I go along, and just keeping it nice and consistent. Go over it for a few passes, and hopefully that will keep a nice uniformed edge. So it just tips over nicely, just to give the edge, the arch a bit of a finish. And what a ball like that was. I can almost hear people shouting down the screen, well, why didn't you wire edge that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the customer's lucky that I even done that, because the customer did not specify, he just wanted a straight cut edge. Luckily for him, my OCD would not allow that. So that's why I've decided to return the edge. If I was going to wire it, then I'd have to make a tool to get in there, because I physically don't have anything that would do it. And then I'd have to epoxy in there first, and blah, blah, blah. Nearly there. All that's left to do, where I pulled the edge over, it shrunk it up a bit on that side. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that on camera, but it's slightly shrunk the shape of that. So I'm going to put it back on here, try and hammer this edge out the best I can, get the radius a little bit bigger, and try and pull some of that material out where it's pulled in a bit much. And then replicate this again and do the other side. Hopefully you might have learned something from this video as well. Even if you are an experienced metal worker, I'd like to think every metal shaper has got their own kind of methods, tricks, tools, and everything like that as well. And of course, I've been demoing the Ox Planishing hammer, which I'd give it a massive thumbs up. My hands are killing, so absolutely brilliant tool in short bursts. Earplugs are a must. But yeah, it probably shaves a good couple of hours off my overall time in making these mini fenders. So if you haven't got one, get one. I think they're about $700 just for the handheld on its own, but if you're doing this day in, day out, you'll make that up in no time. Right, it's a delivery day for these mini fenders. I've got them both symmetrical now, so they're both trimmed up to the same size. I've finished these off with an 80 grit on the DA. The reason for doing that is it kind of helps with dressing off the last remnants of the weld, and also helps soften up edges and forming marks as well. So, and then on my welding surfaces, I've hand blocked it with a 120 grit. Reason for hand blocking with 120 grit is it picks out your lows and your highs, and then I've just been planishing it until I've got it to a good enough state, and then obviously re-sand it again. So yeah, these are done now. What I'm going to do next is these are being presented to the customer in raw metal form, so I don't know how long they're going to be left like this. They will potentially rust out extremely quickly if left untreated. So I'm going to hit them with some scotch on my jitterbug sander and some WD-40 as well, just to give them a little bit of protection. Slap.